So I was watching another network last night, the evening news. Look at this.
And that shooting comes on the heels of a rash of gun violence across the country over the weekend. Now police across the country are bracing for a deadly summer. With more on that, here's Gabe Gutierrez.
You think? Gabe's going to have a lot to choose from. Take a look at this. Crime is out of control all over the place. And you know what? The mainstream media, the left, Democrats had a lot to do with it as they sanctioned and encouraged and fueled all of those anti-police riots and violence and protests, even the peaceful protest against cops. You saw it, I saw it. This was somehow beautiful. Well, I thought it was ugly, and now we're seeing the ugly results. I'd like to bring in our panel. We got Harrison Floyd with us, a former Marine and also former executive director of Black Voices for Trump. No such thing as a former Marine, of course. And Kelly Hyman, Democratic strategist and an attorney. Welcome to you both. Harrison, I am not surprised. Do you think the woke media are surprised by this uptick in violence?
Well, they probably shouldn't be, because all those places that you mentioned that were up on the screen are led by Democratic politicians. We've seen 63 of 66% of the largest police jurisdictions in the country have seen an increase in violent crime. You don't hear about it because it doesn't fit the narrative of white cops. 33% increase in homicides. Don't hear about it. Doesn't fit the narrative. And you definitely haven't heard about Kobe Daniel, a little 6-year-old boy who was shot by an Asian man in Michigan because it wasn't a white cop.
Indeed, that's the narrative they seem to care about. Black Lives Matter. They care when a black life is taken by a white cop. But this affects so many more people. Kelly Hyman, thanks for being here, by the way. Your thoughts?
Well, thank you so much for having me. My thoughts and prayers go out to anyone affected by gun violence. But we have to also remember, under the Second Amendment, that everyone has a right to bear arms, and that's in our Constitution. So I think it's important for us to discuss how we can resolve this issue and discuss about gun safety to make sure that people are not harmed, but people who have their guns are also entitled to it as well.
You know who could actually help, I believe? The NRA. They're all about responsible gun ownership. I keep hearing about illegal guns, people not shooting straight and hitting the wrong person. Harrison, almost all the time, especially when it comes to kids dying, getting shot, it seems to be they're caught in the crossfire. They weren't the intended victims.
Well, you're absolutely right, Greg. And when you look like me and you come from one of those cities listed on the screen, this is something that's quite common. You grow up with just about every day. But just to quickly point on what Kelly mentioned, you know, this isn't always a gun issue. You can murder someone without a gun. Robbery and aggravated assault can be committed without a gun. This is because of rewarding bad behavior, allowing people to riot and loot in these liberal cities and not putting a foot down and sending in the National Guard like President Trump wanted to do. Now it's out of their control.
You know, I do want to show this clip, and I think it was a kind of one of those iconic moments where the full-blown hypocrisy of the media was on display for everybody. This will go down in history. Ali Velshi in the middle of Minneapolis last year.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
I mean, all mayhem is breaking out. I do think that the media's selective reporting, their bias, has really impacted lives. I think we're losing lives because of the dishonesty. And cops, Kelly, have been delegitimized, stigmatized, and in some cases canceled by the left.
Well, the cops put their life on the line, and my thoughts and prayers go to any officer that's lost their life because of some kind of harm to them. But I think it's important to remember that there are some bad apples, and absolutely, but I do believe that the police that help the American people, and that's what they want to do.
Well, we do love our cops, and that's why I hate it when they are unfairly maligned, as they were for most of the past year and a half. I do want to get you both on President Biden's travels. He is overseas right now and not impressing too many people, unfortunately. Take a look at this, again with Lester Holt, actually, from the news. First of all, Joe Biden seems to be kind of lagging. And what is the answer to this question? That Mr. Holt posed to one of his reporters.
Peter, has there been a final decision as to whether the two presidents will appear for questions after the meeting?
Lester, with the president saying that he's prepared to confront Vladimir Putin, we now know that he will not be doing it in public. The White House announcing that President Biden will not hold a joint news conference afterwards with Putin. Instead, he'll take questions alone. Lester?
Peter Alexander tonight. Thank you.
You know, that's when you ask one of those follow-up questions, even if it's scripted. Well, why not? Putin has done it with Clinton, with Bush, with Obama, with Trump. I think we all know why, but Harrison, you start. Why will there not be a joint press conference between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin?
Well, first and foremost is because the guy can't go 5 minutes without making an inappropriate gaffe. When 90% of the world's nuclear weapons are held in the United States and Russia, this is something incredibly important you don't want to make a misstep on. So he's trying to save face and hide like he did during the campaign and not come out and speak to the world.
Kelly, I just think cognitively speaking, he's not up to holding his own with Vladimir Putin publicly.
Well, I would disagree with you on that. But we also have to remember that, some would say, that it's not to the end. There might possibly be a chance that they do come out and do a joint conference together. So that might still happen, but they're meeting together and talking about issues. And we have to remember that Biden has a long history in foreign affairs and foreign policies as being the vice president and representing his state as well.
Yes, I mean, we can argue or debate the effectiveness of all those years, but hey, good point though, Kelly. I suspect that they may surprise us, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see. Kelly, I appreciate it. Kelly Hyman, Democratic strategist and attorney, and of course, Harrison Floyd, welcome back, former executive director of Black Voices for Trump. Semper Fi, my friend. Thank you both.